Think some years ahead. Think of your future. Do you imagine yourself in a serious relationship or married someday? Probably you do. Next question. Do you imagine yourself divorced one day? Probably not. Still, the divorce rate is skyrocketing. To be precise, according to a report by the National Center for Health Statistics published in 2001, 43% of first marriages end in separation or divorce within 15 years. And those are only the cases within 15 years. That would mean that a fair amount of us here in this classroom will divorce one day, unless we make a change. Today, I want to encourage you to take the lead in creating successful and lasting relationships by having a rock-solid sense of commitment toward your partner. First, I'll discuss why we should worry about the high divorce rate. Then we'll look at 3 specific causes. And finally, I will offer a solution. So maybe you're wondering, why is the high divorce rate a problem? Isn't it a good thing that people can break up whenever they want to? And if a couple wants to divorce, then that's their problem, right? Well, actually, it's not just their problem. Research has shown that divorce has a huge impact on your children's future marriage. In a paper in the November 2001 issue of the Journal of Marriage and Family, researchers state that parental divorce approximately doubles the odds that offspring will also see their own marriages end in divorce. When children see their parents divorce, it shows them that marriage is like a contract that can be broken, that it is not necessarily a lifetime thing. So when these children grow up and marry themselves and maybe run into issues then, they are likely to also divorce. And this way a vicious cycle of divorces is created. Also, in quite some cases, divorces and breakups contribute to mental and health problems, to behavioral problems for children, and to economic difficulties for families and societies. Of course, there are many causes for the high divorce rate, but today I would like to discuss 3 specific ones: individualism, channel surfing, and the general acceptance of divorce. In his book, The Marriage Go Round, published in 2009, sociologist Andrew Cherlin argues that the divorce rate is so high because Americans have come to strongly value individualism. So they justify divorce by pointing out this value of individualism, saying, my spouse no longer meets my personal needs, so I'll take care of myself by ending this marriage. In the November issue of 2004 of the Journal of Marriage and Family, the same author explains that in the past, people gained a lot of satisfaction from the process of building a family, from playing the role of a parent and the role of a spouse. But today, many people tend to desire just direct individualized satisfaction in their relationships. A second cause is the so-called channel surfing. In an article in the newspaper, The Telegraaf, on the 30th of May 2007, relationship therapist Blanca van der Brand compares people's behavior in relationship nowadays with channel surfing. According to her, our generation generally has a kind of slack attitude in relationships, and when complications arise, we don't fight so much for the relationship anymore, but instead we'll surf to the next partner, and the next, and the next. Just like people use channel surfing to find an even more entertaining item on TV, people do the same thing, trying to find a more exciting or sexier or funnier partner. The third and last cause of divorce I want to discuss is the general acceptance of divorce. I found several papers discussing the increasing social acceptance, and we can also see it around us every day. But what I personally think we should worry more about is the internal acceptance of divorce. The biggest problem is not that society is fine with a high divorce rate, but that we, for our own marriages, accept divorce as a solution quite easily. Well then, what is a good solution? How can we make relationships stronger and more successful? The answer is commitment, a word that popped up so much during my research. In the first paper I mentioned in this speech, commitment is described as a tendency to remain in a marriage even when it is troubled or when appealing alternatives to the marriage exist. As a truly committed person, you will not just live for your own happiness, but also for the happiness of your partner. As a truly committed person, you will not replace your partner as soon as issues arise, but instead you'll try to overcome them. As a truly committed person, you will not easily accept divorce, but instead you'll try to find a better solution. The authors of an article in the April 2005 issue of Family Relations emphasized that we cannot change the experiences we've had in the family we grew up in. Probably some of your parents are divorced, and maybe you're fine with that, or maybe it was a horrible experience. These researchers emphasize, though, that we cannot change those experiences, but we can change our attitude in our relationships today. You decide what attitude you have in a relationship. A mindset of commitment is a choice that you can make, and it will be a very beneficial one. My husband and I made that choice at a quite young age. We are not afraid that the other person will find someone more interesting or that he will get bored. We are not afraid to run into struggles that we cannot solve together. And that is because we are committed to each other and to making our relationship work. Sure, our characters clash sometimes, but we see that not so much as a problem as a way of complementing each other. For example, I can still teach him quite some social skills, and he can teach me how to stay calm when the printer doesn't work. Instead of causing irritation, these points actually bring us closer together. And I feel that only works because we are committed. Because if you are committed, you want to make the relationship work no matter what. So then you might as well turn such struggles into healthy challenges. Our parents, who are on both sides still happily married, taught us this attitude of commitment, and for that we are eternally grateful. Think about it. How will you feel if in our generation the divorce rate would increase even more? Wouldn't that just be pathetic? What would it be like though if in our generation a change would occur? We can be the pioneers of a new trend, maybe the trend of strong and lasting relationships in which partners can count on each other for 100%. It would be a change to be proud of, and a change that would benefit your relationship, your children, and eventually our whole society. This is not something we can think we should worry about later when we are real adults, because it takes time and determination to really embody a strong sense of commitment, especially since the world around us is not exactly encouraging it. So it really requires your willpower. And also, I'm not just encouraging you to be committed once you are married, if ever. I'm encouraging you to be committed in your romantic relationship right now, if you're in one. So today we talked about why we should worry about the high divorce rate. We looked at 3 specific causes, and we looked at full commitment in relationships as a solution, as the factor that will bring the change that the landscape of romantic relationships needs. So let's get the bloody merry-go-round to a stop, and instead get on board of the exciting roller coaster ride that a committed relationship is. It will be an amazing ride with ups and downs, but at least you can be sure that at the scary parts, your partner will be right there with you.
Very complimentary. Thank you very much for that presentation, Marietta. Boy, these are great. I'm excited tonight. All right, next we have